Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women, the podcast that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth. Here's your host, Gary Wilson.
Hi, everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to this week's podcast for Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. Welcome aboard, chiropractor, dentist, teacher, pilot, engineer. These are the folks that are being attracted to this, mostly people who are professionals in their fields. And we invest in real estate in our communities. We invest, responsibly, ethically, and profitably. So we don't just improve our home, the properties we buy, we improve the area. The area improves, so the properties go up in value. We get happier tenants paying more rents, and everybody wins, So that's how we do it. We're not all about the no money down stuff. That stuff has its place. I'm not saying it doesn't work. But that's not really mostly what we do. It's sometimes a way to get started, but we want you to get into the game of working the cash because it's the age-old rule. You know what? In business, cash talks, right? So then later on, you can apply different strategies to be creative once you can get on a cash basis. So in any case, welcome aboard. If you haven't subscribed yet to the podcast, it's quite easy. It's on 75 some odd different channels, including Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Just go on and subscribe. And also, if you want to go ahead and join the community, we're several thousand strong right now. And the good news about this, guys, it's not all of us investors in this community. We've trained over 3,000, personally trained one-on-one over 3,000 real estate agents in North America to work with us investors. So they're not necessarily residential, they're not really commercial, they're that little group in between that basically feeds us. So they're in the community ready for you, and there's a bunch of us in there ourselves. Join at whatever level you want. Just dip your toes in the beginning if you want to. That's fine. We look forward to seeing you there. Now, today, we got a great guest. Ken Wimberly is a friend of mine, also a co-member of one of the mastermind groups we're in called Go Abundance. Both of us have been in about the same time, 4 years, and we're all about, it's basically healthy, wealthy, generous men who seek to lead epic lives. There's a men's group and a women's group, okay? They have to keep it separated. But that's how we met. And Ken's one of the great guys in the group. Real true, good citizen, good performer. So Ken, welcome aboard, man.
Hey, thanks, Gary. Appreciate you having me.
Well, it's good to have you here. Listen to this just to start. Some people are going to maybe recognize your name, particularly if they're in the Texas area. But if they're not, just if you wouldn't mind, give us kind of a rundown, like who you are, so people understand. When we get into some content, maybe it'll make more sense to them if they have a little bit about it. As long as you don't mind sharing a little bit about your background,
Sure, I'll tell you plenty. First and foremost, I'm a husband to the girl of my dreams and father of 3 amazing kids, and that part of my life is absolutely amazing. As a career, I've spent the last 17 years in the commercial real estate business. So I started off as a land broker. And now these days we do all investment sales. So it's been commercial real estate the entire time. Never sold a house in my life. I say that I've actually sold 4 homes, and I used a residential realtor to represent me in every one. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I was in the restaurant business. Had owned my own restaurant for a while, and then worked as a GM of another. Part of that was in the insurance and investments business, and part of that in the U.S. Navy, and that kind of happened right after I got out of college, or actually joined the Navy in the middle of college right there. So that's a brief rundown of my career. Awesome.
Okay. And I know you and I spoke earlier, we have some similar backgrounds too, as far as what we went through to get where we are. But so let's do this. I want to get to what you're doing right now, which is a couple of pretty awesome projects. But in order for it to make sense, let's kind of go back a little bit in time and talk about on the real estate side. So you got into real estate. You already had that entrepreneurial gene flowing through your veins, got into real estate. And I know that you've done a lot over the years with triple net leases and stuff like that. Yeah. But talk a little bit about your own personal investing, like maybe one of your favorite ones. And then we can build on that to show people how that allowed you to leapfrog or basically position you to launch these other businesses,
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my first personal deals, I got into the real estate business in 2002. By around 2006, I started having some big success after my first year was a grind, right? It was interesting. My first commission was 11 months into my career. It was $1,836. Okay. So, I was grinding it out 10 hours a day, 10 to 12 hours a day, working my tail off to get where I was going. And so within my second year, I was making six figures and doing pretty well. And so I started looking at what to do with my own money and deploying, putting together deals. And so one of my first deals was a syndication that a buddy and I did, and it was a land. I was in the land business at the time, and we acquired about 2.5 acres on a golf course in Mansfield, Texas, and it was on a busy thoroughfare, and went in and got it rezoned and planned for an office development. We were going to actually develop a couple of those we were going to do a co-work space before it was called co-work, right? When it was executive suites back then. We were going to do an executive suite building in one and then build buildings and lease them out on the other buildings. And it got a site plan, brought value to it, made sure that we did all the pre-development things that needed to do on that. And then this started in probably late 2006, early 2007. And then as we get going on that, the real estate market falls apart in '08. And so our development plans immediately went on hold. And interestingly enough, God, I forgot about this until we're talking right now. Our equity partner our primary equity partner pulled out of the deal the week before closing on that. We were going to be closing to start development of the first building. So it was going to be a $3 million note. And our equity partner pulled out of the deal the week before closing. And because the market started falling apart, he was cross-collateralized and started to run into some financial trouble. But we had this great little asset that we had created value from. We took it from just a couple of small rinky-dink homes on it that were basically falling apart. We raised those, site planned it, created value. And I had someone approach me on that deal. I had about probably 12 grand in personal capital invested into it. So not like a lot of our personal money because we had an equity partner in the deal. I had someone approach me on that. And again, the market was falling apart. Our real estate commission income was really falling out in mid to late '08. And I was able to sell my interest in that deal because a guy was interested in buying my interest out for a 6-figure profit.
Wow.
On this very first little syndication deal. And my buddy that I put it together with, he stayed in the deal. In fact, he's got 5 different buildings on there. He's developed the project. It's a beautiful project that's come to fruition, but it took years to get going. We were able to exit out of that ourselves. My wife and I, we needed the capital at the time, and that worked out really well to get us through a trying time right there. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. It's amazing how in every adversity, there's an opportunity. And I know it sounds easy to say that, but because years ago, when I had some adversity, I didn't see that. All I saw was adversity.
Yeah.
But I kept plugging away, and I didn't realize it's like you look back on it and you see, that there always is opportunity. You just really have to get past the fear and the doubt and look for the opportunities just to make. So I admire you for doing that and then capitalizing on it and benefiting you and your spouse. And,
that one worked out well. It was a great first start to getting into the syndication business and acquiring properties.
Yeah. So what I want to do right now is talk about I've already mentioned, of course, here in Texas. And, Texas is an interesting state because it's huge. And for the most part, there's just a lot of empty space, but you've got kind of in the central, east, northern section, you got Dallas. You go down to the southeast, you got Houston. You go to the west, you got Fort Worth, which is where you're pretty much from. Go southwest, you got San Antonio, Austin. But if you go west, you got, Abilene, Midland, Lubbock. And those are great areas,
They are.
As far as other investing, what would you say to people looking at Texas? I know Dallas has been growing like crazy, it's gotten more expensive. Austin's the same way. But those tier 2 and tier 3 towns, like I know you got a business out in Abilene. Yeah. I think those are great areas, What's your take on that as far as Texas goes?
Well, look, when anyone's investing, my take on, first of all, I love Texas as a market. We have a phenomenal economy. We've got a business-friendly state. If there's any rub that people have with Texas, it's we have high property taxes, yet that's offset. We have no state income tax. We've got just a wonderful business climate in general. But with anyone's investing, it's, invest in, I encourage people to invest in a particular asset class, right? Get something that and learn that really well. I know a lot of folks that are doing multifamily right now, others that are doing commercial real estate strip centers, others that are doing office buildings, whatever it is. I tend to encourage people to specialize in one thing and get really, really good at that before bouncing around to a lot of different stuff. But these smaller markets, so Abilene, as you know, we have a Keller Williams franchise in Abilene. because I'm out there, I've gotten invested in the market. So we own a couple of different assets in Abilene, including we last year bought a 50,000 real estate business. So we understand
Right. Yeah.
commercial real estate and shopping centers is in particular. So me and a partner of mine who started off as a client years ago, he's now become a partner of mine in different real estate assets, and now he's going to be a partner of mine in the laundromat business, which we can talk about a little bit. But
Yeah.
we acquired this 50,000 square foot shopping center at, I mean, the ask on it was an 8 cap on actuals with about 18% vacancy. So you can find some opportunities in these secondary and tertiary markets.
Yeah. I agree.
Like in Abilene, I'm going forth to Abilene a fair amount. So to go buy one in a market where you're not and you're not there very often, there is a little bit of inherent risk to that as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I usually tell people I don't recommend branching out geographically until you've got your feet wet where you are, because you're going to psychologically, it's like your baby. You want to go see it and feel it and touch it and all that stuff. And once you get used to treating it like a business, then later on you can expand out and go in other areas. But what I want to do real quick, I want to touch on timing real quick, and then I want to go into Ken into how that position you to launch some of these other businesses. And I know there's two I want to have you talk about. But as far as time, you mentioned 2006, and right after that, of course, 2007 through, depending on where you were, 2010 through 2014 was the end of the recovery phase. I mean, the reason I asked this question is, for me, it didn't really, I mean, it hurt. I mean, the recession was not any fun, but I didn't get washed out. In fact, thank goodness I had equity and cash flow, because that's what got me through. I mean, but for you personally, did you find yourself still being in the investing game throughout that time frame? And if you could talk about that for just a second, because I want to alleviate people's fears and also their desire to want to speculate or time the market. It's just like David Osborne always says, hey, you know what? Don't wait and buy and wait.
There's a lot of truth to that. So during that time period, I was not investing much at that time. I put some money into some other people's funds that they had put together, but did not acquire any properties during that 7, 8, 9, 10 time frame. We still did very well in the commercial real estate brokerage business, even though the business fell off heavy. We were grinders. We were out there working our tails off the whole time, and we made 6 figures into mid 6 figures throughout that time. And so we did quite well.
Yeah.
But it was a grinded out time. There's a whole lot more work that went into it to get everything done. And so, no, I was not actively buying additional properties until really probably 2012 is when I started kind of looking and started picking up again. And in the last few years, it's gotten more robust and more active. And again, it started with I've been investing in other people's deals. And I don't feel like I have to put the deal together on my own all the time. And that, Pat Hyben made a comment a number of years ago that opened my eyes to something. He said, I own a small percentage of a lot of deals and they all add up. And I thought, ding, the light bulb went off for me right there. And I said, what? I don't need to just save, put together my own deals, save, put together my own deals. I can go invest 25 or 50 grand in other people's deals right there.
Right.
Have a little diversification. And I'm like, right with anything, you're betting on the horse more than you're betting on the person that's putting the deal together. And so I'll go in and invest with people that I know, that I trust. They have a track record, and I believe that they're going to protect their partners at all costs.
Right. I agree. That's why I love masterminds, because you get to, they're selective. You get to know the people that are in there and see how they behave and just look at their level of activity, the things they're in. And basically, to me, some of the common character traits are, they're driven. They basically have drive. They just have this ambition to constantly grow and succeed. And they're also really good at not getting frazzled, and because stuff isn't always going to go right, but it's not what happens, it's what you do about it. And for the most part, the people that you and I hang around with in these masterminds they're really good at taking good action relative to whatever is happening. So I couldn't agree more. Partner with people absolutely critical. And it doesn't mean they're your best friend or your relative. It's in terms of business, when you're making money, that's the core alignment. The cool thing is most of them end up being pretty good people too,
Well, it's like I mentioned, the partner of mine in the laundromat business now. Okay, started off, I met him at another different kind of mastermind group. Is actually a Society of Exchange Counselors meeting that I was at years ago in San Antonio, and went to lunch with this guy and figured out we had some common interest right there. And he owned a property in Fort Worth, Texas. He owned a Fur's Cafeteria, and I'm in Fort Worth, so we talked over a few months, and he said, "All right, Ken, we're going to bring it to market. I'm going to list it with you." So he brings it to market. We take that out and go get we actually had a couple offers on that, get a buyer for him. In the middle of our due diligence, Fur's filed bankruptcy. Okay. But the buyer we had stuck with this deal, and we were able to kind of walk it through. He was a sophisticated buyer, sophisticated seller. We were able to walk the deal through and got it closed as they came out of bankruptcy. And so that kind of endured this particular client to me. He had a particular affinity after getting that deal done, and we did a couple more deals together. And then we invested in a deal together. And now, like you said, you start becoming friends with people. He's one of my great friends now, and now he's a partner in the laundromat business. So I love this business for that. I get to know so many people so well. And it's like I don't go out there seeking new friends these days, yet I'm able to find some that are just a really treasure.
Well, it's like the old saying, you work on improving the value of your own stock, and you'll attract other valuable people in your life. So, hey, what do I do, Ken? If you mentioned the laundry business, if you could do me a favor, let's talk about that. And would you say that the real estate, everything you've done these past, 10, 15, 20 years has positioned you to even be able to visualize this laundromat business? And if you could talk about that, and then talk about the laundromat business too, and I will go into the final subject after that, which is where your real passion is right now.
Well, the laundromat business, okay, first of all, yes, the real estate business and the brokerage business is a phenomenal business to be in to create income, right? But one of the things that we should all know is that income and wealth are really, really different, right? So, but income can help you to make investments that will eventually produce great wealth right there. And so, but getting the laundromat business was a little bit of almost a fluke in that I was looking for a tenant for a building. I was actually looking to acquire another building in Abilene with a different client of mine. He was going to buy a building out there and invited me to partner with him on the deal. So I was out there trying to find some tenants for this building and ran into a laundromat group at a conference that I was at. And so I pitched the building for them, and they came back, said the demographics were wonderful. It's make a great location. And I said, well, great, here's a lease. Come on. And they're like, well, we need a 10-year lease. I'm like, this is getting better and better. So, but what I came to learn, the people I was talking to, I thought they were an operator. They were actually an equipment manufacturer's rep is what they were. And so we talked to him about getting an operator, and they just didn't have anyone teed up for Abilene, Texas. And so I asked this one particular guy that I was going to partner in the building with if he wanted to get in the business. And he said, no, I'm too busy. Bandwidth's too full. And then I went back to this guy that I referenced before, this other friend of mine, said, hey, I'm looking at the numbers on this. I started studying it pretty heavy. And I said, it's positive economics. It really is. It appears to be anyway. And so we started studying it. We went to a third partner of ours, or he's now our third partner, because the one partner and me are just alike. We are starters. We are visionaries. We like to start stuff, but when it comes to getting in the weeds and the operations of it, we need someone else there to help oversee that. And so we went to a third partner who became our operating partner in this deal, and the three of us created the company. Well, here's the beauty of this. All of us are entrepreneurs. All of us are capitalists. We want to produce a profit, but all of us also have a deep need to help and serve others. And so we really got together. We spent an entire day thinking, what do we want this to be? What can this be, rather than just a cash cow, which a lot of these things are supposed to do. And so for us, we wanted to really come up with something that would be a service to the communities that we would serve. And so our company is called Laundry Luv. and we're a laundromat with a mission. And so we've got very large, beautiful stores. We've got a kids play area in our laundromat, right? Because we've gone and investigated lots of laundromats where there'll be moms with young children in there. So we set up like a Chick-fil-A kids play area in our laundromats. We've got large picnic tables all pulled together with families can sit together and have food while the laundry's being done. We're going to use those large tables to bring in, partner with the local communities and churches to bring in the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace Program.
Awesome.
Partner with the local SCORE program to teach people how to launch a small business, to bring in tax consultants at tax time, help people do some taxes, and to bring in tutors for students, help them with reading and whatnot. So for us, this is a way for us to really impact the community. And then because of that, it's enhanced on what we want to do and how big we want to grow it.
Right.
And our vision now is to own 500 laundromats in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. Well, I want to be part of that.
Perfect.
That's awesome, man. It's so funny. Laundromat too. This is so ironic. One of my oldest, dearest friends. This goes back to my Pittsburgh days. His dad actually paid. It was Pitt, University of Pittsburgh, the graduate business program, to do a study on what they thought were the top 10 greatest needs for the consumers in the marketplace for now. And up at the very top was laundromats. So they launched the first laundromat, and last check was they had 12 laundromats just in the area. And the kid, if he unfortunately was kind of, we call it riding the gravy train.
Yeah.
He never really had to do much, and kind of lost touch with him. But I stayed in contact with his dad, and absolute same, that entrepreneurial gene. And so I'm glad you did that. And I hope this, for those of you who listen to this, I want you to really just take to heart what Ken just told you. So he's using the real estate experience is like it's like the platform upon which you can launch other businesses. So just know this: real estate ends up really not being the end game. I mean, for some people it is, but what it does is it gives you the income producing assets that you can then leverage to do things that you really do care about, like doing this. And Ken, if you could, we're doing pretty good on time here, but there's one more thing I want you to talk about that is a real big passion of yours. And I know now it's possible, probably because of everything you've been doing leading up to this, but if you don't mind sharing that, because I think this is going to be huge for people who listen to this, because it's all over U.S. and Canada. And I think you can serve a lot of people with this next subject,
Well, as I started this conversation initially talking about who I am, and most importantly, it's that of husband and father. And so I have 3 children. I've got a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and a 3-year-old son. Mm-hmm. And when my daughter was just 1 year old and my son was still in the womb, I started kind of thinking about what could I do to just slow down, be more intentional, be more purposeful, and kind of save moments and lessons of their life. And how could I do that? Part of the thing that prompted me on that was my attorney at the time. I was in visiting with him. He said, "Ken, let me tell you what I do with my kids." He goes, "You got one in the oven and you one right now." He said, every year they shot a ton of video in their house. And so he said, every year at the end of the year, and he had 2 young boys, he said, "I'll splice together 1 minute of video per month. I'll put it on a DVD and put a music track to it, give it to each of my boys, and it'll be like, this is your life in 2007. That is such a beautiful idea. Mm-hmm. But I didn't own a video camera back then, and I damn sure didn't know how to edit videos. So I started thinking, well, what could I do? And I remembered back to my 30th birthday. When I turned 30, my stepmother had given me the most beautiful gift I'd ever received. She gave me a leather-bound scrapbook that was 30 years of my life. And it was everything from a picture of my birth all the way up to just the vacations we would take. She wrote stories in the margin on the jokes we would tell and all of that. It was just such and it's exact photos of like my cousin and my aunt that are no longer with us anymore. And so I still treasure that today. And my stepmother passed away a number of years ago from cancer. And so this is like a living testimony to her love for me. So I thought, what could I do? Something like that for my kids. And I thought, you know what? I can journal to them. I can write. Any of us can write. And I type faster than I write by hand. So I just decided that I was going to do it on a digital platform. So I did it on a Word document. What I started to do, I just started a journal to my kids on a Word document. really simple, just writing a note to them. And I wanted it to be something that I could stick with. So I made I thought, a commitment that was easy enough to stick with. It was just once per month, just once a month, write a journal entry to each kid. And I started that. So that was 2003 when I started that process.
Yeah.
And I've done it year and year and year and year. And in 2016, I went to the GoBundance Vietnam international trip. And while I was there, Daniel Ramsey, my buddies, I was sharing with him this story because he had young children. I was like, hey, Daniel, you got to do this for your kids. I think it's something you really love, because I've told hundreds of parents about this over the year. And Daniel was like, Ken, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. He's like, I'm going to start journaling today to my kids. He's like, but more importantly, because you need to go do something with that.
Yeah.
So I heard that over and over and over again. And about a year ago, I took some action. So over the past year, we were in design and development of a online platform that's a place for parents to able to leave messages and notes, journal, capture photos, video, audio notes. So I just recorded like a video to my kids the other day. Or if you have a voicemail that your son or daughter leaves when they're young, it's so sweet. You can save it here forever. And we just released it about a month ago. We just went live with the web-based version of it. The app-based version will be released in about 30 days. We'll have both the app and the iOS and Android apps released, and they'll all be synced together, right? So you do it on your computer, it syncs to your phone, or vice versa, right there.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard, and I'm glad we had time to have you share that, because I think that's something, of all the things, Ken, you and I can talk about, like most of the connections that I have with people, because they want me to teach them how to make money, and I get all that, but I also learned over the years is, turns out that, believe me, I appreciate big, beautiful homes and fast cars and boats and vacations and all that. But my thing now is my relationships with my loved ones and the experiences we have. And so something like this, I think there's a lot of people listening who probably feel the same way I do, is we want to be part of that. So share with everybody how you can, how they can participate in this, because I think that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard of. And, my children are grown. My daughter's talking about having children. I'm thinking, this is perfect. And I'm going to be granddad. And because it's not just parents, dude. I'm going to be a granddad hopefully in a couple years. Hopefully I'll have
a lot of grandparents already using this.
Really?
And you're exactly right. One of my lady that runs my operations here in the office, she's a grandma, and she's all about documenting everything for her grandchildren.
Yeah.
And just, imagine the power, right? When your grandchildren read all these notes of love and affirmation and stories of your life. And they read that as they grow up, and they can use that in their just their own guidance and their guidepost in their lives. So look, anyone can go to legacyoflove.app. So legacyoflove.app.
Okay.
And all about what we're doing. We also, for any of your listeners, it's a free product. Okay, so it's a freemium product. They can download it for free, start using it for free. If they want to upgrade to any of the premium plans, they can do so. And we've got a coupon code for your listeners.
Okay.
If they want to enter G Wilson, so GWILSON 19, they'll get 20% off of any of our paid plans.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that was a nice surprise. I didn't expect that.
Well, happy to do that.
So what I'll do is I'll make sure I just wrote it down, because I'm going to send it to the guys that process these podcasts and have put them in the podcast notes. And I my hope and wish and prayer is this helps a lot of people, and I really think that it is. So I think I speak for a lot of people, Ken, when I say thank you for taking your precious time to share your experience and share this vision of yours. It's like you're coming around full circle too, and you're realizing how you can leverage all you built materially to serve others in a pretty deep way. I mean, this is, I've got a good feeling about this, man. So thanks for doing this. And for everybody listening, thank you for participating. God bless you and all your loved ones. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, just go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, or Stitcher, or any of the others, and just subscribe to the podcast. And also, if you want to become a member of our community, just go to myinvestmentservices.com And you can look all around there and you'll see how you can be part of the community. There's different levels. And, do whatever is most appropriate for you. There's no wrong answer. It's just what's right for you. So, Ken, thanks again, man, for doing this. And I appreciate it. I can't wait to see you again the next time.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Yeah, we'll get this recording out to you, too. So, everybody, hang tight. I'm going to end this one. So, God bless you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Real Estate Investing for Professional Men and Women. Be sure to go to myinvestmentservices.com to join our community and start building wealth today.